Go Henry and Sonic are here to help your kids with a super smart prepaid debit card and learning app. Now with limited edition Sonic the Hedgehog 2 cards. Pocket money at lightning speed, payments in a whiz, savings that fly. Go Henry, making every kid smart with money. Order their Sonic the Hedgehog 2 card at gohenry.com.
You've got to be shitting me.
Alright, so as you already know, Sonic Frontiers is the big release coming out this year from Sega and Sonic Team, and we are getting gameplay in just over 2 weeks from now at Summer Game Fest. Now, since we haven't actually seen any gameplay of this game yet, I've tried my hardest to remain pretty neutral surrounding this game. I know it's hard for some of you to believe that I've been neutral because you might be thinking, well, you've been negative, Prem. I mean, it depends on the day, let's be real. But I've tried my hardest to remain neutral because at the end of the day, they haven't shown us the game. And even though 2 trailers, no gameplay, to me is a big red flag, because like 1 trailer, no gameplay, okay. 2 trailers, no gameplay, that's a bit of an issue. I've still tried my hardest to be like, you know what, they could still wow me with this game. Let me not write it off completely, because quite frankly, I want the game to be good, right? It's hard for some people to believe. I think some of these haters believe that if the game is bad, somehow I benefit as a Sonic tuber, and that's fucking ridiculous. It's when the things are good that I benefit, not when the things are bad. Mocking things on YouTube does not make me more money, okay? I'd make more money if the game was good, because good games tend to sell more, which means more modders, more people modding the game, more mods to cover, more people becoming Sonic fans as a result of all of this hype and excitement and quality, which means more people to watch Sonic content, more excitement in my videos, more excitement means more positivity, which means more people like me, which means more subscribers. So again, it's only in my best interest for this to be good. Anyway, without seeing gameplay, the biggest concern has always been Kishimoto working on this game. But it seems someone wants to put everyone's rest to bed with a big Reddit post, an elaborate post which I have not read. People have added me this post and I'm going to read it very fairly and see if they can put our worries to bed. So we're gonna get into all of that. But if you're subscribed to the channel already, please make sure to subscribe. We're trying to hit 100,000 subscribers and hopefully 70,000 subscribers before Sonic Frontiers comes out. So why is this Morio Kishimoto such a worry? If you don't know already, this is the person who is directing Sonic Frontiers. Pretty much the highest name that you see. Like when the credits roll, it's like the first thing you see is director. So you might be thinking, okay, why is that a worry, right? Well, okay, let's look at what else he's directed. Sonic Forces, Sonic Lost World, Sonic Colors, Sonic and the Black Knight, and Sonic and the Secret Rings. That's it. Out of all these games, I mean, Sonic 4's there, but it's a special thing, so we can't really include that. Out of all these games, his track record is not the greatest, right? I mean, some people love Colors, fine. Some people like the storybook games, but overall, this is not like a list of bangers, let's put it that way. So naturally, if this person is directing the game, and their track record is already not the greatest, we're going to be a bit like, okay, well, how are they going to pull off a game like Frontiers if a basic ass boost game like Forces they couldn't do well, and their 3D Sonic game that was well received, which was Colors, was basically a 2D game, and Frontiers is like supposed to be the epitome of 3D, right? Please don't make that age poorly. It's only natural that people are going to be skeptical, right? And some people might go, okay, but this is bullshit then. If they know this guy is not that good, why don't they just get the people that worked on, you know, Unleashed and Generations, the boost games that everyone loves, right? Well, I mean, I've discussed this before, but for those of you who don't know, Sega is not exactly the nicest place to work. I mean, a lot of developers who worked on Unleashed and Generations have ended up working at Nintendo and working on critically acclaimed games for Nintendo. So it's like all the talent just keeps leaving, right? Even if Sega get the talent, if those people then end up working for other companies, and all the talent's leaving Sonic Team and going somewhere else, right? So yeah, I guess they're stuck with whoever they've got, right? But onto this Reddit post that wants to put our minds at ease. I don't actually know who made this post, so I'm not going to like have any like background of this person. Anyway, the post says, let's talk about Kishimoto, a post about his role in Frontiers. It's gaining some traction on the Sonic Frontiers Reddit because obviously people need to feel at ease as this gameplay is coming out. We want to feel like they're gonna get it right? As we all know, Morio Kishimoto is the director for Sonic Frontiers and is by far the biggest worry for the game right now. I mean, why wouldn't he be? So far we're on the same page, right? He was the director for Black Knight, Lost World, and Forces, so it's bound to be not great. Well, I would say bound to be, but it's not looking good. Well, I'm here to refute this and say that not only is Morio a good director, but that Frontiers is in good hands. Okay, now you lost me. He said, let me explain the difference between movie directors and game directors. I don't know how we got into the movie shit. Okay, fine. This is probably the most important point, as people mix these up often and cause misinformation. What's the difference? Well, here are two things to consider. Movie directors are the creative leads of the film. They hold the creative vision throughout the whole process, from pre-production through to the final edits. They are employed by the executive producer or producer who is ultimately in charge of a production. It's kind of funny how, like, we're talking about a game here. The way they felt like to explain it best was to compare it to movies, because that's the thing running the franchise right now. But anyway, let's keep going. A gaming director ensures a video game looks great and works correctly. They supervise and review all aspects of the video game design process, including the graphics, sounds, and programming. So what does this mean? It means that Morio has only been in charge of the graphical, mixing, and programming aspects of the game to make sure that it's all sound. As much as we may dislike the games above, they not only look good for their hardware, Forces is debatable. You just refuted your own point. But there are little to no glitches in the games, or at least not as many as there were in previous and even newer games. This means that no matter what we think of the games themselves, they are technically stable. Wow, serious points for Kishimoto. The games are stable and look good for their selected platforms, which means that yes, Kishimoto is doing his job well and is in fact a good director. This seems especially true with how graphically stunning Frontiers this world is. On to the next thing. Alright, before we go on to the next thing, okay? Graphics wise, no, okay? Forces was not pushing any graphical boundaries. With that shit art style, Kishimoto had to oversee that, and he still allowed that. How does the Forces model look worse than the Unleashed model, and it came out like 9 years afterwards, okay? I'm sorry, but the detail was just lacking in that game, and the fucking Lost World art style with the trees and shit, and graphically Lost World on the Wii U left a lot to be desired. And I mean, you could say, well, it's just the Wii U, but I mean, there were games like Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U, which looked pretty good for the hardware. And I mean, I'm not saying they had to make Lost World look Generations or Unleashed levels of graphics, but they could have tried a lot harder to make it look, you know, not generic as fuck like New Super Mario Bros. But I will give you this, the Meta era did have some of the most stable Sonic games. Well, I mean, also had Boom Rise and Lyric, but you know, that wasn't Sonic Team, fine. But Lost World, I will die on that hill that Lost World is the most polished Sonic game. In terms of just chance of running into glitches as a casual player, I would say Lost World, you had the least amount of chance, right? Every other Sonic Team title was glitchier than Lost World. But again, I'm not saying every other game was glitchy, but I'm just saying that Lost World was the most stable that I've played out of all of them, which I've played every single Sonic Team release. I've beaten every single Sonic Team Sonic game. So for me to say that, even I'm not like a big Lost World fan, there's no bias there. I just played it and it felt like, man, I don't run into any glitches here. But at the end of the day, the Meta era games are still shit, right? Minus Generation. So clearly someone's to blame. So if you're saying it's not him, then who is to blame? Let's keep reading before I go into this whole thing. What it means to be a producer. So if we can't blame him for the creative aspects, who can we? That all goes to the role of the producer in a game's development, as stated. Games producers are the eyes, ears, and glue of the game development. They raise the money, get talented staff on board, and make sure the best possible game gets made, whatever challenges might stand in the way. So who was the producer for Forces? None other than Mr. Dash Like a Maniac himself, Nakamura. Oh, you remember the Dash Like a Maniac clip? Oh, Nakamura, man.
You simply press and hold the button to attack, so you can really enjoy ultimately just dashing like a maniac through the stages.
He was in charge of getting the budget and the staff together to make the game good, and quite frankly, he blew it. Thankfully, there's a bright side to this. Now, before I get to the bright side, I will agree that Nakamura has had his weaknesses, especially Force. Oh my god. But I mean, if you're gonna play that card, while Nakamura was the producer of Sonic Forces, which you said is more important than the director, he was the director of Sonic 06. But notice how he's also credited as chief game designer, game story, game title. It seems like the director of 06 kind of did a lot of other things that wasn't just overseeing the graphics and making sure the game was stable. Now those are separate titles there aside from the word director, so you could argue that maybe Kishimoto's not doing the same, he's just overseeing, you know, but you don't really know for sure until we get more information, right? Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. It says our current producer. As most of us know, the current producer is Sachiko Kawamura, a longtime veteran of the Sonic series who has helped served as a designer and artist, creating the Chow Garden for SA1 and 2, as well as helping redefine Sonic's look and feel in Unleashed. Clearly, she has a lot under her belt, so her taking the reins is very welcome. Conclusion. The meaning of this post isn't to say Frontiers will be perfect and isn't a shield for Kishimoto, but to say that the game certainly has a lot more going for it than any game from the past few years. We didn't get no Sonic Team game in the past few years. What are you comparing it to? Nothing? Especially seeing how the what did we get in the Colors Ultimate in the past few years? What are you comparing this to that's actually good? Especially seeing how the merge within Sega not only brought a lot more stuff to work on the game, but even brought back serious veterans from the 2000s. For example, Akinori Nishiyama. If you don't know who that is, that's the person that was the head of Sonic Team after Naka left and before Izuku took over, so basically give him credit for Unleashed. Oh shit, he was the director for Sonic Rush. Well, according to this Reddit post, we shouldn't be giving the directors credit, but you know, Rush was goated. The fact that this guy was weaving in and out of like the Sonic Team and the DIMP stuff as well, like we already knew the DIMP stuff, like Sonic Team was like overseeing them, but still it's crazy to see that this guy was going from working on Sonic Adventure to then doing Advance 1, Advance 2, then coming back to SA2 Battle, then doing Heroes, Advance 3. Like, this guy has got a good track record, I'm not gonna lie. Also the chief producer for 06, but you know, like, you know, keep going. I know seeing Kishimoto's name seems like a red flag at first, but when you look deeper into it, you find we aren't in as much trouble as we thought we were. Cheers. Now, what do I think of this post? It's not as bad as the last one we caught. Like, I'm not, let's go with it. It's not as bad, because at the end of the day, he's not shilling for Kishimoto, but it sounds like he's trying to reduce Kishimoto's role, because if this guy's directing the game and that's a big deal, then that means we should be worried, right? But if apparently he's not responsible for the actual game feeling good and the level design, then that means somehow he's off the hook. I don't know. I'm just never gonna be okay with saying that the person whose name shows up first in the credits should not be held accountable for the quality of the game, right? Like, even if he's not the one in the trenches coding, aren't you like overseeing who's being hired and who's not being hired, or who's being picked to work on these games, right? Like, if a movie seems well directed but the writing is a bit poor, you can still partially blame the director for that, because the director can request changes for the writing of said movie, especially on the day. I mean, if they're gonna put their name on it and they think something is bullshit, they should have the right to be able to say something about it and get something changed, right? If Kishimoto played Forces and said, I'm not the happiest with these controls and this whole feel, he could have done something, right? But clearly he gave it the green light. But this Reddit person, he's trying to put more weight on the quality of the game on the producer than the director, which I'm not gonna get too deep into that. I'm not a game developer, but all I see is names, right? And when you say someone is directing something, you are using their name. At the end of the day, you're gonna look at what they've directed before and be like, is this person got a solid track record? But fine, let's take a look at the producer, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if the producer is not solid. Now, we already know who the producer is, Kawamura, and the one issue I have with saying that, okay, this person is producing, therefore everything is solid, is that if you look at Kawamura's track record, she has never been credited as a producer of any Sonic game. Like, that role of producer has never been undertaken. It's always been art-related things like senior art director, supervisor, special thanks, designer for Advance 1 and 2, lead child artist for Adventure 2, visual effects designer, artist. This is very different from producer, right? We can agree that a lot of the games that she's worked on have had good aesthetical things, right? Like the childs look great. She designed the child, basically. She created the look of the child. She was the art director for Runners, and I think Runners is a very beautiful game. But she was also the senior art director for Forces. So, I mean, at the end of the day, right? If someone who has done pretty good art direction in the past is now producing Frontiers, I don't see how that's a guarantee that Frontiers is in great hands, in the sense that the game is gonna feel great, right? Like, it may look great, because I mean, from what we've seen, like the in-game shots that we've seen graphically look fine. Like, the art style wise don't look horrible. I mean, minus using the Forces model, which I really still hope is a placeholder. Like, at this point, I don't even know, but I am hoping it is a placeholder. But even if you reduce Kishimoto's role to just making sure everything's graphically sound and stable, we've got someone who's good at designing things from a visual standpoint, who is now producing the game. We don't know what their prowess is as a producer. This is literally their first time producing a Sonic game. And we could keep peeping names from credits and whatnot, but at the end of the day, what I need to know is the two major ones right now, because we already know the game's gonna be open world. We know the game graphically looks pretty solid. Probably a good chance the Switch version will be cloud. We'll find out soon enough. What we need to know is if Sonic is going to control well, and if the levels in terms of their design are going to take advantage of that. These are the two key things that will determine Frontiers' success amongst people like me, which is just, you know, people who like 3D Sonic to actually feel like challenging and fun to control, things like that. Will it control well? Like, can you do acrobatic things with Sonic, or does it feel overly restricted and scripted? Is the level design gonna be solid, or is it gonna be mundane and boring? You can be able to run on walls, or you can be able to like use momentum. These are the things that we need. And so far, Sonic Team hasn't given us that in years, okay? Lost World had its moments. Generations had some momentum, of course, naturally, but they don't seem to be able to grasp this in any recent capacity. So I don't think my mind is put to bed because Kishimoto may not be doing that part. Someone is doing that part. We don't know who. At the end of the day, we're getting close to D-Day anyway, so once the gameplay drops, we'll know for certain if they figured it out. But they got open world to worry about, they got cyberspace to worry about. There's two different, at least that we know of, two different gameplay styles that they need to get right, which is boost levels and open world gameplay. And they've never really done open world properly, so we don't even know if they're gonna get that right. And as for boost, I mean, they've gotten it right in the past, but that past is over a decade ago. So at this point, I don't know what to expect, man. But yeah, man, let me know what you guys think about this situation. People are saying Kishimoto is not a death sentence for the game, and maybe it's not, but do you think that we're in good hands? Or do you think we haven't seen the hands yet and we need to just wait for the gameplay? And of course, a big shout out to all my members. If you want to become a member, you can click the join button next to the subscribe button. But yeah, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell. Make sure to check out the non-Sonic channel. The link will be in the description. But that's all I have to say right now. So, Premy out.